Hi, I'm Ian of Ian's Truth Be Told True Crimes, and I'm going to start again after speaking to a friend and getting some really good advice. He said, why don't you start with the evidence and then go on from there? So this is what I'm going to do. So in 2020, I was looking after my mum's house whilst my father was away on holiday, and whilst I was there, I found a document that was the coroner's witness statement, and it's written and signed by my father. But it's written and it's very odd. So it says that my mum went into hospital on the 14th of May, had an operation on the 15th of May to fix a broken hip, and died on the 28th of May. Now, my mother went into hospital on the 21st of May. I was there. On the day that she apparently fell, my father rang me in the morning early and said, could I go and help because your mum's had a fall. So I went to the house, and when I got there, mum was in the hall and my dad was sat on the stairs, on the bottom of the stairs. My mum was sitting in the chair next to the telephone table. My dad had already told me that mum had had a fall, so I went in. I spoke to my mum and I said, I hear you've had a bit of a tumble. She said, yeah. She said, I fell over and I banged my leg, my shin and my ankle. I said, oh yeah. And she said, yeah. My dad said that he was concerned about her because of her dementia, and so he was thinking of taking her to the hospital. And I was concerned. I'm always concerned it was my mum. So I agreed, and I said because I've been working, what I'd do is I would get up, I'd go home and have a shower and get changed, and then I'd follow over in my van. So my mum stood up out of her chair and she walked out of the front door. She walked out of the front door, down into the porch, which was one step, and then she walked out of the porch, there's a sliding door there, out of the porch, down another step, which onto a wooden step that my father had made her, that was like a half step, and then onto the path. She then walked 8 metres, I should imagine it's about 8 metres, maybe 9, to the car, which was a Volkswagen Passat Estate car, old Volkswagen Passat Estate. She walked down the path to the car. I opened the door for her, and she got into the car herself and sat in, and I helped her put her left foot into the car. When she walked out of the house and down the steps and down the path, she didn't limp, she didn't complain, she was smiling. She wasn't complaining at all, she just thought she was going out. She got into the car herself, unaided, and as I say, I helped her to put her left foot into the car, and she rubbed her right ankle then. And it was the only time that she rubbed her ankle. I went home. I thought they were leaving straight away to go to the hospital, and I went home, and I live above a shop, which was my mum's shop. And when I got home, I was in my front room and I was just getting ready to go and have a shower, and I looked out my window, and my father reversed into the yard, and he got out and he went into the shop, and my sister-in-law came out and she stood and talked to my mum in the yard through the passenger window. So I went and showered, and when I got out of the shower, I looked out the window again, and my father was just I'd been about 10 minutes in the shower, something like that. And when I looked out the window again, my father was getting back into the car, and my sister-in-law went back into the shop, and he put a big bag of, I don't know what he put a big bag of, but he put a big bag in the back of the car. And then they drove off. And I got ready, I got changed and dry and all that sort of thing, and got ready, and then I left about 10 minutes after they did, and I drove to the hospital. And when I got to the hospital, I went to the main reception and I asked where my mum was, and they said that she was in Robin Ling ward. So I went and found Robin Ling ward. Sure enough, they were in there. My mum was in a wheelchair in a gown, and my father was in a chair sat next to her, and I think there was 6 beds in the ward. They were in the end bed, or next to the end bed, and when I got there, my father disappeared off, and when he returned, he pulled the curtain round and he said that we were going to have to help Mum into bed because they were short-staffed because of the bank holiday weekend. Now, I remember saying at the time, it's not bank holiday until next weekend. It's my birthday tomorrow, because it's my birthday every year on the same day, which is the 22nd of May. This is the 21st. And I said, I've just driven past all the stuff, all the signs are still up for the county show. Devon County show. Anyway, so I said that, and he said, well, we're going to have to help her into bed. He pulled the curtain all the way around. My mum stood up out of the wheelchair and sat on the edge of the bed, and we helped her to swing her legs into the bed. My mum was mucking about. She said, cool, I hope I don't turn out like this lot in here. And I said, yeah, I agreed, because they looked awful. They all looked so sickly and, oh God, just horrible. It's horrible thinking about it now. Nobody could speak, and it was awful. They were my last words that my mum ever said to me. My dad said to me, you'll have to let your mum settle in because she's having an operation tomorrow. I didn't know what the operation was, and I was never told at the time what the operation was for. But I just agreed and said my byes to my mum and gave her a hug, gave her a kiss on the cheek, and I said, look, I'll come in and I'll see you tomorrow on my birthday. So I left. Tomorrow came, 22nd, it was my birthday. I rang in the morning, rang my dad, said, can I go and see my mum? He said, no, you've got to let your mum settle because she's had her operation, so you've got to let her recover. He said, I'll give you a call in the afternoon and you can go in and see her. So in the afternoon he called me, and I went in and I saw my mum, and she was just messed up. It was horrible. It makes me feel absolutely sick to the stomach. She was just white as a ghost. She couldn't talk, she couldn't move, she couldn't do much. She was just squirming about in the bed. She'd gone from being fine and mucking about with me to being sickly looking and horrible, and she didn't have any tubes going in or out of her. She had nothing like that. She just looked white as a ghost, and she couldn't do anything for herself. It was really horrible, and it makes me feel very sick, even now. I said to my dad, what the hell did they do to my mum? He said, she fell very hard, she banged her head, and this is what happens to people with dementia. I just couldn't believe it. It was just horrible. He said, pick up her hands and rub her hand and say they're there. And I did, but I had to pick up both her hands because she couldn't do anything for herself. Just awful, it really was. It makes me feel quite sick every time I think about it. And when I think about what happened to my mum, it upsets me to this day. I think it always will upset me forever, the fact that when I shut my eyes, I can see her. Do you know what I mean? And it's just horrible. I'm going to have to just stop them. Hang on. So this is my birthday, 22nd. I wouldn't have known it was my birthday on that day. I felt so upset with the whole situation. I'd been there for a good while, and my dad was weird as hell. He'd said pick up your mum's hand and rub her hand and say they're there, and it was just so odd, so very weird. And I sat with my mum and I was talking to my mum, and I didn't even know if she could tell that I was there. It was just awful. It really was. It makes me feel so. I'm sorry, I don't mean to go on, but it just makes me feel so sick about this. Anyway, after a while, my dad said, you'll have to go and let your mum recover from the operation. You can come back and see her tomorrow. Tomorrow came the next day, and again in the morning I rang and I wasn't allowed to go and see her. He said, you can go and see her in the afternoon. And I went in the afternoon. I got a call in the afternoon. You can go and see your mum. So I went in the afternoon. My mum was exactly the same. She looked white as a ghost. Well, she wasn't exactly the same. She was probably worse. She couldn't speak. She couldn't do anything at all. My dad was acting very strangely. It was really, really weird. I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. It was just really strange. Again, I said, like, I just can't understand. Mum walked in, 2 days ago, and now she looks like this, and she can't speak. She can't do anything. The whole time I was there, there was a... I said to my dad, what the hell did they do to my mum? Because she just horrible it was. The whole time I was there was a nurse sitting opposite, and she was writing stuff down. She'd been there the day before as well. And I said to my dad, what do you think she's writing down? It seems very strange. She seems to be, every time we're there, she's writing stuff down. He said, I don't know. And he looked really concerned, really worried about whatever she was writing down. Again, my dad said after a while, you'll have to let your mum recover and you can come back tomorrow. The 24th came, and again in the morning I wasn't allowed to go and see my mum. It was like they were keeping me away from her as much as they could, really. In the afternoon, my dad rang me, and he rang me at 3:20 in the afternoon. He said, you can go in and see your mum and say your goodbyes to her. So I went in, I drove from Sidmouth to Exeter, it's about 45 minutes. And I drove in, and I got to Exeter to the hospital, and I went into Robin Ling ward. My mum had been there all the time for the 3 days. This is the 4th day. And I went into Robin Ling ward, and my mum, she wasn't there. The whole of the ward was empty. And there was 3 nurses there when I got there. And I went in and I said, there's my mum and that. And they showed me to a side room, and my mum was dead. And she was in this side room. And I went in, and I sat with my mum, my dead mum, for, I don't know, 20 minutes. Maybe about 25, 30 minutes, something like that. And I gave my mum a hug, and her eyes were open, and her hands were clawed. She looked really angry. She was cold, and she was dead. She'd gone. I don't know how long rigor mortis takes to set in. I gave her a hug, and she was stiff as a board. It was absolutely horrible to see. Anyway, after about 25, 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more than that, I left the room where my dead mum was, and I came out. And as I was leaving, I bumped into a friend of mine, Jo, and she worked in the hospital as a site manager. And she tried to stop and talk to me, and I was just bawling my eyes out. I was so upset, absolutely distraught. And I made my excuses, and after about 5-10 minutes, after probably about 10 minutes, I'd made me excuses. I don't even know what I said to her. I was so upset. And I left. And I went home. Well, I went back to the field, I think. It's kind of where I spent a lot of my time. And I went back to the field. And later on that day, Jo kindly wrote me a message on Facebook Messenger to say how sorry she was to see me so upset in the hospital earlier. And she sent that message at 6:47 p.m. And I know that because it's in this evidence I'm going to show you in a bit. And she sent me this message to say how sorry she was to see me so upset in the hospital earlier. And if I wanted to go and see her or anything, she was in ortho tomorrow. But there was no point because my mum was dead and I wasn't going to go back into the hospital. In fact, I don't like going to the hospital even now. It's kind of puts me off of going to the hospital. So my mum had died, and I'd seen her on the 24th. And that was that. Now, I'm going to leave it there, and we'll go again in a minute, okay? So, or whenever, I'll put this one on, and then... So I'm just going to go back that when I was looking after my mum's house whilst my dad was away on holiday in 2020, I found this document, and it said it was a coroner's witness statement and it's written and signed by my father, and it says that my mum went into hospital on the 14th of May, had an operation on the 15th of May, and died on the 28th of May. And it's written by my father, and it's signed by my father. It's typed out and signed by my father. Now, I knew that my mum had gone in on the 21st, the day before my birthday. I was told that she was having an operation on my birthday on the 22nd, and she died on the 24th, or I saw her dead on the 24th. So I knew that the record was wrong. So when I'd found that record at my dad's, I didn't know what the operation was until I read that, and it said that she had she'd broken her hip, so she had an operation to fix her broken hip. That's what it said on that coroner's witness statement. So I think I'll probably stop here. I did take that coroner's witness statement and I took it to show my brother. So I'll pick up from where I left off, and I'll pick up from there. Okay, so that's it for a minute.